Welcome, everyone, to the Astra podcast interview series, where today I speak with Alex Romero of the UCAT Foundation. The UCAT Foundation is an education focused blockchain that allows users to earn while they learn. Let's get into it. All right. So, hi, I'm Manuel, and I'm here with Alex Romero. And would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Alex Romero, and I am the founder of a project called UCAT. And Manny here has been working with me on this project for since day one, basically.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel it's time to introduce the project to our new friends and opportunities in the industry. So we're doing this as a kind of introduction to UCAT and also in order to bridge those, give information for investors and potential partners for them to better understand what we've been doing and where we're going from here. So can you give like the 30-second pitch on, what UCAT is?
This
The
is the
elevator
hardest
pitch.
part. The elevator pitch, right? The elevator
Yeah.
that goes only 2 floors.
Yeah.
So basically what we're doing with UCAT is we're taking a different approach to value and saying that information holds value. And so in order for you to understand that, you'd have to read the white paper, but long story short, so I'm using education as an infrastructure for a different way of creating value
Mhm.
and using this as a framework for us to be able to integrate into smart cities. And by that I mean, as technology progresses, we don't have a lot of this technology right in front of us, but we're headed towards a society where we're going to be connected to everything through
Yeah.
IoT and through devices. And so at some point, we're going to need to find a different way to protect our information, our data,
Mhm.
our assets. And so I'm working with a group of people to create a interface and an operating system that will be able to keep all of your assets safe, as well as your inner dialogue protected
Mhm.
from you getting hijacked when you're plugged into a neural type of system.
Yeah. So basically, the best of the fourth industrial revolution without the dystopia.
Yeah,
Yeah. Already we have, you talk about anything and it pops up on Google. So how we do that with more information, but not in a way that is intrusive, that accounts for your liberty and autonomy. All right.
absolutely.
So, at this point, I'd like to know, more about you. So what got you into crypto and why did you decide to make it your career?
It's interesting. Actually, in 2017, I recall that Bitcoin had made the news.
Mhm.
And I remember I was like, oh, I had bet some Bitcoin. And mind you, I have a little bit of background in like Web 2, doing WordPress development and websites and stuff. So,
Mhm.
I got to like learn a little bit about cryptos, but never really like dove like head deep into it. And so when it hit the news, and I was like, oh, I had some Bitcoin. I went, I checked my wallet, and I remember vividly I had under $1 left of like Bitcoins in my wallet at the
Mhm.
time. But when I went back and checked after I had broken the news, I had almost $1,000 worth of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And that's when I started scratching my head. I'm like, okay, I know I didn't have that much. I said, so why this ballooned up in value, I didn't
Mhm.
understand, but I was determined to find out.
Yeah.
And so
Scarcity. Yeah.
huh?
Scarcity.
Scarcity, I guess. Yeah. I mean, I'd say more like curiosity,
Yeah.
but I started reading white papers on Bitcoin, and because I have a little bit of working knowledge of like how economics and finance works, because I have a background in finance. I did like insurance, and I did risk management. So that gave me a different insight of how economics works. And then when I read the white paper about how blockchain solves the immutability problem,
Mhm.
um, I I was mind blown. And then I started reading on Ethereum and what Ethereum was doing with smart contracts. And because I understood the computation side of things, I was like, holy crap. I'm like, this is going to change the world.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, you know what? I've missed a lot of opportunities in my lifetime. And like, this is one that I clearly see, like, this is going to revolutionize a lot of things. and I went with my instincts, and I quit working. I quit everything.
Hmm.
I just went into doing deep research on this topic, 7 days a week, 10 to 15-hour days.
Yeah.
Whiteboarding stuff. I mean, going to San Francisco and meeting with you. You came
Hmm.
down to LA. You
Yeah,
hung out with us down here in LA for a few weeks.
definitely.
We put in a lot of time, a lot of hours,
Yeah, and
and
little did we know that that was the beginning of, second generation blockchain, but we're already planning for a third generation.
oh,
So
absolutely. I
it's,
mean,
it's, it's just now that things are coming on to where we can actually build those things that we kind of researched and developed. So
yeah.
that kind of leads into the next question is like with the project and the research you've done, what problems are you trying to solve when it comes to blockchain and how it relates to the economy?
Oh my goodness. So I think that since we started this project, we've undergone several different stages of evolution. At first, we thought this was going to be a project management tool, so we can manage large projects, and
Hmm.
we can keep accountability for how the funds are accessed and give people access where they need to, and give them
Hmm.
budgets and everything. And then we realized, like, oh no, wait a minute, like this is actually an ecosystem, like it's actually a living, breathing ecosystem, and
Hmm.
there's a lot of interacting parts, and
Yeah.
because of that, um everything
For,
has a different layer of depth, and its impact to society, and its impact to each other, and plus or minus value. So we started getting into like econophysics,
Yeah.
and
So for one sector of the project to work, you need another thing to be developed. Like when it comes to like digital identity and pseudonymity, and
right.
the way that the value is created within the ecosystem when it comes to IoT devices and real assets on the blockchain.
Right. So when you come down to like to that point, I'd say
Hmm.
that one of the major things that we're solving is that we're able to democratize intellectual property.
Hmm.
We're able now take ideas, and tangible or intangible. Actually, in this case, intellectual property is intangible.
Hmm.
But we're able to take that, and we're able to put it onto a publicly accessible ledger where people can go and review this information. And it's really critical for society to be able to go someplace and have a single source of truth,
Hmm.
that you have your academic and your scientific community posting up research that is giving the public an opportunity to understand where are we in terms of our knowledge, and how things either work for us or against us. I
Yeah,
mean,
definitely.
we know that there's a lot of stuff that has been discovered in the medical arena that can help us in our health,
Hmm.
but hasn't been released because, let's be honest, there's no money in cures.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier about education. Like, so how would that work when in regards to like the further ecosystem, like when it comes to like what's the incentive for someone to come into the UCAT Dex or educational platform? Or what's the incentive for them to learn with us rather than someone else?
Well, the incentive with us is that we're actually going to be paying them to learn,
Yeah.
because they're actually going to be, what we're saying is we account for the time, effort, energy that you put towards learning, and we say that that's value, because if you didn't take the time, effort, and energy to do that, and you didn't learn this thing, you wouldn't be able to do that thing that you're going to be able to provide value to society for later.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is we're reversing the economic supply chain, and saying, hey, like, we don't give enough credit to our students, like they're
Hmm.
putting in the effort to learn. Why aren't we paying them to learn
Yeah.
now, and incentivizing them to see something through, as opposed to, like, on top of which we're charging them for
Hmm.
information. It's
Yeah.
like you're taking away value from them before they're even able to give it.
Yeah, and any full-featured ecosystem, if no one knows how to use it, then it doesn't have any value. It's like if you teach someone, then they have, if I run a construction company and the person I hire to move, to work the crane doesn't know how to work the crane, that provides no value to anybody. So I'm have the incentive to teach them so they can provide value to everyone else. So in
Absolutely.
this, like we have advanced systems and we need people to know how to use them, and them using it provides value to the further ecosystem. So
Absolutely.
when it's kind of a UBI concept, so everyone
Yes.
wins. The ecosystem wins, people become onboarded. We can real assets on a blockchain have value, and everything goes flows from there.
Yeah, no,
um
absolutely. and there's a really few cool kind of updates to that, like
Mhm.
that we're in communication or talks with a few different groups that are interested in participating in this. I have one on one side, I have a group of artists that want to take their intellectual property, which is their artistic works, their music,
Mhm.
and they want to open up a DAO, or at least put it into a DAO that they could then use as collateral to fund a treasury, and then with that, doing different projects for artistic things.
Yeah.
And then that's on one side, and then on another side I have another group of people that are working in the XR, AR, VR space,
Mhm.
which are helping us create a virtual environment where we can now bring people into an immersed environment to teach them things, which not only is more is a more how should I say it? It's a more impactful way of getting people onboarded. um, and secondly, because the information that you get in an immersed environment, you retain at a rate of 30, about 30% more,
Mhm.
and you're able to recall the information at about a rate of 30% more, just because of the way you're able to learn it. And
Yeah.
so we're creating now immersive environments for educational content, and in a variety of different areas where we're able to now train people for specific job duties. There's some talks with people from the military sector for training them in some, I guess, military training
Mhm.
for immersed AR and VR environments. I believe one guy was even talking about doing some training in the nuclear sector.
Yeah.
So these are like things that are just, these are all very, very latest developments that have
Mhm.
just kind of sprung up in the last couple of days.
Yeah.
So we're trying to figure out how that's all going to work together. But yeah, it's very exciting times, and there's a few people that are doing very similar concepts,
Mhm.
but the cool thing is that we're opening doors and we're collaborating,
Yeah.
and
Because everyone can work together.
so that everyone
there's
can
there's
work together.
there's a
Yeah,
lot of work to be done, so there's no reason to be super competitive. So
that's exactly
yeah.
how we're viewing it. Yeah.
Yeah, so when it comes to like the practical everyday, governance of your project, how would that, what entails, how that is ran? So how is the project governed? You see it as a
So the
DAO, like, democratic, or is it based on, reputation or digital identity? So how would that work with
so
this
so
project?
we're structuring this in a couple different ways. That we do have a governance board that we're putting together.
Mhm.
Manny is on the governance board, and I'm looking to bring on a few other people that can help us expand into some verticals that would be beneficial to us, so that they
Mhm.
will be part of this governance board as well. And I'm looking to also bring on a few academies, a few centers of knowledge, or a few, like, I guess you could call them either Code Academy, App Academy, all these different coding schools.
Mhm.
I'd like to actually open up an opportunity for them to come on and be a part of this governance board as well, to help us establish an onboarding kind of a training program.
Mhm.
And let's see here. Can you, what was the rest? What was,
You generally answered that. How would your project be governed?
oh, got you,
But
got you.
yeah, but I can go to the next question. Is so you have different actors within any project. You have the people who we want to onboard when it comes to education. You have
Right,
teachers, content creators, and
right.
also investors.
Mhm.
How can everyone get involved, and specifically, how will the tokenomics work? And if investors wanted to come on, how would that work?
Okay, so basically right now we're in the forming stages. We're
Mhm.
putting together Discord that will allow for all these things to happen. We have such a huge community already of artists that are doing not just like graphic arts, but they're doing NFTs, they're doing 3D art, they're doing
Mhm.
video art, they're doing virtual reality assets. I know
Yeah.
there's a one guy that's doing
Nice.
hoverboard NFTs,
Yeah. But
and
and
you'll,
you're based in LA, so it's a big entertainment industry. So I'm sure that you have connection with a lot of people down there.
yeah.
So
there's a lot of that, a lot of movie people, a lot of just artistic people that are
Mhm.
just they're just so everyone's trying to collaborate and do stuff. So everyone's just open to work and everyone's just really happy to participate in really innovative projects.
Mhm.
So we're putting together Discord for figuring out how to break everyone down into teams.
Yeah.
And again, so for the majority, for the greater part of the last few years, it's been myself, Manny, and maybe one or two more folks that have been contributing to this. But we've just recently came across this large group of people that are already collaborating in such an immense way that we're now talking with these people of how to break these down into more focused groups that can do specific features or functionalities.
Mhm.
And I see this coming together very, very quickly. I'm super excited.
Definitely.
Um, yeah.
And do you have any ideas on, how the token or, will be distributed, or what kind of like structure that will entail, or when it comes to, anything produced by the project through the DAO, maybe NFTs, like what's the timeline for that? And, how can people get involved?
Okay, we're setting up a DAO.
Mhm.
We're setting up a DAO so that whoever is a part of that governing board will kind of steer the direction of the project. Um, we do have now a token that is available
Mhm.
that we're going to be putting up the information on that token soon on our white paper.
Mhm.
There's already one up there, but we had to make some adjustments, so
Yeah.
we're going to be changing that out. And that token is actually just going to be a representation of debt, so people can actually participate in that right away. And once we have the system set up and people start going to earn value on the network, then that value will start to burn away,
Mhm.
excuse me, and then replace it with the actual real value that's created by these students learning or participating in that learning process.
Mhm.
And so a percentage of all value created will go to the foundation as part of the treasury, which we're going to use to provide liquidity to the network. And in that process, once we have enough value created from the learning aspect,
Mhm.
then we'll begin. First, we're going to set up a threshold of accumulated value. Then we'll start to burn off the token, and we'll replace the token that the other holders have, the old token, with the new one, which then will be providing them with only pure economic value.
Mhm.
But
It'll make more sense once you read the white paper.
yeah,
We
yeah,
could
it'll
probably have
definitely make
follow
more
up.
sense when you read the white paper. It's a different understanding of economics.
Yeah.
But
Today we're trying to keep it short and sweet just to introduce the project to people, but we'll definitely follow
right.
up with more detailed information.
Right. Just think of it as a token that you cannot buy. Like the value doesn't come from a fiat currency. The value comes from an understanding that this token was earned
Yeah.
because it was worked for. There was time, effort, energy put into it, and
Yeah.
so it's a merit type of a authenticity token. Like this
Yeah.
is kind of the language that they're using, is that it's a more of a measure of authenticity, how authentic you are,
Yeah.
how
So it's
original.
you can relate it to a utility NFT. The NFT will have a history and how it relates to the ecosystem and have value based on that history.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that same thing applies to the research and stuff, because all that will be posted on a public ledger.
Hmm.
People can go and provide their input and do, and you can call it crowd reviewed instead of peer reviewed, because it's not being reviewed by your peers, it's being reviewed by everybody.
Yeah.
And so people can go and contribute and add any findings to any art, academic or scientific
Mhm.
research.
Yeah.
And I
So,
just think that we're headed towards a really, really awesome place
yeah.
where
Crowdsourced IP and everyone can earn and learn. Because
absolutely,
some would
absolutely.
say that UCAT is the center of education.
Some would say that, yes. I mean, I'm pushing for that. The thing about the UCAT is it's interesting is I see UCAT as the as the minter, if you want to call it that.
Hmm.
UCAT would be the converter of value. It'll be That's why so UCAT stands for Universal Crypto Accounting Technology. That's what its original name was. And so when I think of like creating tokenizing assets, then you go to UCAT, and that's where you go and you convert your your academic research paper or your music, and you tokenize that, and then you post it onto our decentralized exchange, which is called EduDex.
Mm.
EduDex will be our decentralized exchange of information and ideas.
Yeah.
And so uh, there's a lot of other aspects that'll work in play with governance, such as your oracles, because
Mm.
you will become an oracle when you have certain credentials that you acquire from taking certain classes.
Yeah.
You're going to get access in terms of NFTs. You're going to get authentication in terms of NFTs. You're going to have access to industry-wide information, and it's going to be all layered in different types of tiers because you don't necessarily get to have access to all the most intricate or the most delicate information if you're in your first year of college. Like,
Yeah.
the more you know may confuse you, and it may alter your understanding of how things are supposed to function in any given industry.
Yeah,
So,
because I recently have been having a lot of discussions about like how do you do decentralized, services in a world where there are bad actors, you know. So it's like, right now there's a big debate on Twitter and Elon Musk buying it, and people are, kind of worried about his influence, and a lot of
oh,
people wanting to move to decentralized systems, but those can be a haven for some of the worst people. So how
you
do
know,
escalation of privileges is one way to do it, but I
yeah.
also like I wanted, this is a section where we talk about kind of like current events and how you relate the project to current events. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's funny you should bring up Twitter because Twitter people have no idea what is going with Twitter.
Hmm.
And like, Twitter for one has been or has an because of the way it's formatted, you could get so much data from Twitter
Hmm.
that if you combine Twitter with the AI of Tesla,
Hmm.
what do you think happens?
Yeah. Not good for everybody, but
No, but imagine you have data, you have insights from Twitter.
yeah.
You kind of have like a data feed. You kind of Twitter already kind of knows how everyone functions within society
Hmm.
because you've got a track record. And now you feed that through Tesla's AI, and you've got just bonkers,
Yeah.
bonkers types of stuff happening because you're gonna be fed all kinds of stuff and
Hmm.
told all kinds of things,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be narrowed down to your scope of relativity,
Uh,
and it's gonna be almost like catered news right to your doorstep.
yeah. And it's basically it'll motivate you to buy Doge whenever he needs you to throw your money down and he can sell his bag.
That's it. If he wants to sell his bag, he's just gonna make one tweet and
Yeah.
it's gonna go everywhere. And I mean, you're talking about a complete movement of markets, manipulation of,
Mhm.
and it's not even gonna be human influence. It's gonna be AI influenced.
Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting about, because the big topic, last few days is actually manipulation of markets, like so, you know, obviously the last few days has been a market crash, mostly, spurred on by, raise of the Federal Reserve interest rate and the UST losing its peg to the dollar
Yeah,
and a
that's
bunch of other
hilarious, by the
things.
way.
Yeah. So where do you see, are you worried about the crypto future, or where do you see you and the project going in the future or recent future?
Oh
And
man,
what do you think about those issues?
I'm so glad you asked that because the
Mhm.
beautiful thing about our project is that because we're not fiat backed,
Mhm.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What we're saying is that the value is in the level of productivity that we're able to get out of society.
Mhm.
And so we're backing it by future works being able to be accomplished. So in a way, it's almost like what already is done now because our U.S. government they love us so much and they think that we're so valuable that they actually peg the value of our dollar to the future production of our taxpayers with our social security numbers.
Mhm.
And so your social security number is actually your guarantee that you're going to be repaying back that loan that they did in that in the last couple of bailouts that they did or whatever the last stimulus packages.
Mhm.
Those are all backed by our social security numbers.
Yeah.
And the fact that we're going to someday provide tax money to the pool to pay back those loans that they gave out. But it wasn't our choice. Like, we kind of didn't have a choice. We didn't have a voice in that, but we needed it. So, but the awesome thing is that everything that we're experiencing now is because we're in a debt-based system, and the
Mhm.
debt-based system is not sustainable, which means the only real way to solve this problem is to understand the economics of the system that we're in,
Yeah.
agree that it's a system that's broken and flawed and it doesn't serve us in any way, shape,
Yeah,
or
it
form.
doesn't account for degrees of complexity. Like the
It
way,
doesn't account.
because the way I describe, kind of what we developed when it comes to like dynamic, economic models is I use the Coke example because it's simple to understand. Like I'd be willing to pay $5 for a Coke right at my door rather than a Coke up a hill here in San Francisco. Like
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that Coke up a hill is worth $1. The Coke right on my same block is worth five for me because I don't want to climb that hill. It's like,
right,
but universally things relative to me are right now because things aren't as dynamic are have the same value. That both Cokes up the hill and one right next to me are both $1. So like how do you account for um the degrees of complexity within the economy. Like, some people are willing to
right,
pay more for things, and you're losing a lot of value in with the fact that you're not accounting for that complexity.
right. Which is this is where you get into the economic physics of things, right? Which is
Yeah.
the time and distance of objects traveled, which is
Hmm.
accounted for in the value spectrum.
Yeah.
Because if you have someone bring it to your door, well, you want everyone along that supply chain is going to get paid some way, shape, and somehow.
Yeah.
And so we
It,
account for all that.
yeah.
But
We do have some in, during the pandemic, I was paying $30 a day for, some Thai food. So, because no, we couldn't go out and it's so much more convenient, I'd rather just pay someone to bring it to me.
of course, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
absolutely. So with the economy the way it's going, it's only further proving our use case,
Hmm.
saying that we need to have this conversation and we need to start thinking of adopting new forms of value.
Yeah.
But this is really a matter of awareness. It's a matter of understanding,
Hmm.
and I really, unfortunately, I really foresee that we're gonna have to go through a lot of pain before the public will understand like the system isn't serving them, and we need to take a different approach to this problem.
Hmm.
When I first started doing this research and started putting this project together, the real outlook was I see everyone's rushing to automate. Everyone was rushing to automate because automation was like the next thing. We had all the AIs and we could do automation, but I said I don't want to jump in that rat race because it's just another rat race. Automate.
Hmm. Yeah.
What happens after we automate? Like what will society do then? How will we provide value to society when we don't
Hmm.
have to work anymore? And
Yeah.
then that's what got the wheel spinning, like, oh man, like, well, if we focus on just expanding our consciousness by learning different things, learning how different people in society function, because our cultures are what separates us, at a macro level.
Hmm.
Because and when you start looking at the cultural aspect of things, it goes more micro because everyone has different hobbies, they have different ways of viewing things, they have different morals, they have different principles, they've
Hmm.
got different education, they learn things differently, they have a different language.
Yeah.
So you start adding in all these different forms of complexity, and you have a soup of, call it goulash.
Yeah, definitely. So is there anything you want to leave on, any topic or, anything you want to say for, anyone who's interested in this project and learning more?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to be hosting spaces on Twitter almost 7 days a week on XR and AR and education in that field. I'm going to be also doing live events in VR space and alt space. So I have a Discord I'm going to be putting up information to in the next couple of days. It's going to be an invite only. So if you're interested, definitely hit up Manny or myself
Mhm.
and we'll send you a private invite just because there's a lot of scammers out there.
Yeah.
And if you want to participate or contribute in any way, shape, or form, please reach out and we'll find a way to add you to the Discord for the conversation.
Yeah. So
Um,
what are your main socials you like people to contact you at?
so you can contact me at Romero Vingian, RomeroVingian, and that is on every social media platform.
Mhm.
Or you can contact me through Earn UCAT, so it's at EARNUCAT on most major platforms.
I'll put it up on the screen when I edit this. So
Perfect. Yeah, no, that sounds great. And also, well, Manny, whatever Manny's socials are, he could
Mhm.
always add those.
Sure.
Um, And also feel free to check out the Web3 directory that I've put together with some of the links to all the different areas. It's almost like my portal to all these different aspects. So it's
Mhm.
Quantum Oracle, and that's QTMORACLE.com. And that'll take you to the white paper. It'll take you to the UCAT website, which is ucat.io. It'll take you to all the external links, my LinkedIn. It'll take you to a playlist I put together while I was coding all this stuff. It'll fill you in with a lot of stuff, and then I'm gonna add a lot of the AR XR stuff in there too. And yeah, I think that there's just so much more happening, and I'm really excited for what's coming.
Definitely, me too. All right, great. I think that's it. See you later.
Awesome. See you, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good one.